Hey Lucy, it's lovely to see you. Thanks for joining me. I'm just going to wait for a few more people to come online so that we can start the video. Hi Jenny, good to see you back. So glad you're joining us. Hey Margaret, good afternoon to you too. Thanks for joining me. Hey Sarah Jane, great to see you. Just going to give it a few more moments and we'll get started. Okay, if you haven't already, you just need to grab a ruler and a craft knife and craft mat. And I will be using a hang on, how big is that? A 1/4 inch circle punch as well, but I'll show you a different way of using that if we need to. Hi Jocelyn and Angela, so great that you could join me. Hi Cheryl. I miss classes too, Angela. I miss everybody coming in, and Cody's so miserable. He's not got all his fans around him anymore. Okay. Hi Cherie. Hi Karen. Oh good, I'm glad you're going to join in, Karen. Well done. Alright, so I'm going to get started now. So we just might end up with a few more people coming a bit later, but that's fine. So, this is our card. So this one pulls up, so we've got our message here, but when you pull it up, you've also got another little message under here. So this is the hidden message card. So when you pull it down, it's gone. When you pull it up, it comes up. So it also hides this one up the top here. So that's the card. So we'll get started on that. So to start off with, you've got a big 12 by 12 piece of white cardstock in there. So we need to cut that down to 8 1/4 by about 6. So 8 1/4 first. Now I'm going to turn it round and we're going to do it at 5 7/8. But if you're finding the 7/8 a bit difficult, just make it 6. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to do it to 5 7/8. So that's going to be your card base. We miss you too, Jocelyn, so much. Okay, so just wait for everyone to catch up with that. So this is 8 1/4, so 8 1/4 by 5 7/8 or 6 inches if it's easier for you. I'm just going to trim rough, I'm going to get those fluffy bits off my paper while I wait. Okay, so this piece we're going to fold in half, and that's your card base there. Alright, so we're going to put that aside because we're not actually going to do anything on this one for quite some time yet. So I'm just going to put that one aside for now. Oh, sorry, no, we need to just measure this one off. So this piece here that you've got, I want you to cut a piece out of the top here. So I just want it to be a little bit smaller than your card. So you've got a little bit of a white border around there. Okay, so we're just going to put that on there. So I just pop it on my card so that I can see a bit of a white border on two edges. Then I just use my pencil and come in just a little bit and do a pencil mark. So I'll cut down there. Cherie, my cutter is the We Are Memory Keepers one. We do have them on our website if anyone's interested. I do like these trimmers because you can do your scoring. You've got all the 7/8 and 1 inches and 3/8 and all those really weird measurements that we use. So I like this one. So at the top you've got your inches and down the bottom you've got the centimetres. So you can use both. You've got all the measurements down the side here as well. So they're really good. So you've got centimetres and inches along the side. And when you turn this over, this little board over, you've got something to push up against when you're doing your scoring. So this is probably my favourite board to use, and I love the fact that you've got a nice big 12-inch mat at the bottom here to be able to work with as well. So those are the We Are Memory Keepers trim and score boards. Okay, so we'll go back to this. Right, so we're just going to cut this down to be a little bit smaller. So I just put a bit of a border around the outside, so I've got white. Come in just a little bit and put a pencil mark on that one, and we're going to do the same down here. So just up a little bit, pencil mark. So those are the guides where I'm going to cut my paper down. So it measures that way. It measures about 3 7/8. And down there as well. So this side here measures about 5 3/4, about that. And that side measures 3 7/8, if you need a measurement there. So that's basically all we're going to need out of this sheet of paper. So you've got a lot of paper there that you can use for later. So this piece here is what we're going to be using for the rest of the class. So mostly everything is now done on this piece of paper. So the tricky part now is we need our ruler and a pencil. So go ahead and grab one of those. And I've just got my instructions here so that you can follow along on your instructions if you want to. So this is what we're doing at the moment. So this will give us this cut piece in the middle. So what we're doing is measuring this piece here. So to do that, what I want you to do is grab your ruler and your pencil, and I want you to measure in 1.5 inches from this right side of your paper. So I'm just going to do a little pencil mark at 1.5 inches at the top and one at the bottom. And then I'm just going to draw a really light pencil mark between the two. So that's 1.5 inches in from the right side of your paper. So just a light pencil line there, just as a guide. Okay. The inches for the card, Lucy, is that what you want? The card base, that was 8 1/4 by 6. So that's that one there. And this piece here is just a little bit smaller than your card, so just a tiny bit smaller. Right, so hopefully we've all got that done. I'm just going to trim off these fluffy bits again while I get you guys to catch up a wee bit. I'll be very glad when I get my trimmer blades in. Okay, right, so what we want to do now is we want to do these measurements here. So we're going to come measure down 1 1/4 and put a pencil mark, okay? So bring your ruler from the top along that pencil line you've already done, and we're going to put 1 1/4 inch mark. Okay, can everyone see that all right? Okay, so we've come down 1 1/4 and put a little pencil mark there. So the next one, still using this line as a guide, we're going to come up from the bottom at 3/4 inch. So follow that pencil line again. Put your ruler at 3/4 inch and make another pencil line there. Okay, so I'll just move out a wee bit from here. Okay, so now you can see we have a pencil line down here, right down there, and we've measured down 1 1/4. So we've measured down 1 1/4 inches to that mark, and then we've measured up 3/4 inches there. Okay. Right, so that's done there. So now what we need to do is just grab our craft knife and a craft mat, and we're going to cut between this line and this line here. So you're only cutting on that line between this line here and this line here. So I'll just grab my board and my ruler and my craft knife. So just between those pencil lines that you've made along that pencil line, that vertical pencil line. So you'll end up with it like that. Okay, so I'll just give everyone a few seconds to catch up if you're falling behind a little bit. So again, I'll just mention those measurements. So we've come in 1 1/2 inches along here. We've come down 1 1/4, so 1 1/4 down there, and we've come up 3/4 inch. And then we've just used our craft knife to cut between those two pencil marks we've made. So right in there. Okay, I'll just give you a few seconds to catch up. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. It's a bit hard to tell when we're just doing live videos. Alright, so what we want to do now is that line we've cut, we want to measure over 1/4 of an inch. So that line that you've cut, we're going to measure over 1/4 of an inch and put a pencil mark there. And then we're going to come down to the bottom of that cut line and do another 1/4 of an inch pencil mark there. Can we see that okay? So we've just come over that way, over this way, 1/4 of an inch from that cut line, and we've just put a 1/4 of an inch pencil mark there and there. So now we want to draw a line between those two pencil marks again. So we now want to use our craft knife again, and we want to cut down that line there. So just so I can re-show you what we're doing this cut out piece here. So this is the piece that's going to go make your sliding mechanism work up and down. So just go ahead and cut this line out that you've just done with your craft knife again. So it should look something like that. So just go ahead and cut that top piece off and that bottom piece off so that we've got a whole piece cut out in the middle there. Okay, so once you've done that, that's the hardest part of the card done. So just grab a rubber. I'm just going to grab a eraser, and I'm just going to get rid of those pencil lines now. So while you're catching up, I'll just go grab that. Great. How's everyone going? You doing all right? Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of my board now because I don't need that anymore. So now we have this nice slit here, and that's going to be where our mechanism folds up and down. Now what I suggest you do, if you've got a bit of time now, is this is our mechanism to slide up and down. Now we've actually cut this out and done the measurements ourselves on the silhouette, so this has been cut out on the silhouette. But if you want to do this card again, I suggest you get a piece of card now and just trace around it and put that aside for you to cut out later to do as another template for later. So if you want to go ahead and make a template now, so just pop that on a piece of card, draw around it, and then you can cut it out later for a template. So if you want to do that right now, we'll just give you a few minutes to do that. I hope everybody's being safe at home, and hopefully we can go to level 2 next week. Michael and I are still trying to work out the logistics of how we might be doing classes if we go to level 2. We still have to keep a meter away from everybody that we can contact trace. So we're just trying to work out how we can do that to bring classes back up and running again. We will let you know in our email or on Facebook when we come up with something. We're really not sure what to do yet, so we'll just keep you posted on that one, but we're hoping we can start them up again soon. Okay, so hopefully you've all done that now. If you need a bit of time, you don't need to cut your piece out of this. We just want to trace around it and cut that out later. Okay, so this piece here is going to be the piece that slides up and down. So what we want to do is, you've got these little score lines here, so you can see those little score lines there. I want you to fold this right one right over on this line here. So that inner score line there, we're going to fold right over like that. And then this score line here that we've got, we're going to fold it back on that score line. So that's going to go back. So you end up with that little Z fold there. Okay, so we're going to do that on the other side as well. So this inner score line you're going to fold on first, so fold that right over. And then this second score line here we're going to fold back. So you're going to end up with that little piece there like that. Okay. Alright, so this piece here is going to go inside this here. So I'm going to bring it up from the back and pop it through. Just pull these up together like that. Pop it through there and then flatten them down again. So that's basically your mechanism done. So that's now going to slide up and down there. Alright. Well done everyone. Good job. Right, so we're still not going to put this on our card just yet. What we're going to do now is we're going to pop all these bits and pieces on. So I'm hoping that you've already cut your pieces out. If you haven't, then you can actually do this a bit later. It's not a big problem to do it right now, but I've got mine cut out here ready to go. So you should have 2 flowers, 2 little butterflies, a sideways butterfly, a little leaf and another little leaf there. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 there. Okay, so that's also on your instructions as well. So if you're finding it a bit difficult to keep up, I've actually put on the instructions which parts of the paper that you need to cut out of. So these black circles are around the pieces that you need to cut out of. So if you want to do that later, if you haven't done it, that's fine. Right, so I'm now going to go ahead and put all those on there. So my first one I want to put on these panels here. So this one is my major one here, and I want to pop it down like that. So most of my flower is at the bottom, so when it comes down like this one, it's going to cover that piece of wording there. So that flatter side there is what we're going to put down. So bring it right down to the bottom and put a bit of glue or tape on there, and this one's going to go right on the bottom there. So this little piece of leaf there is right down in that right hand corner. So I'm going to just use glue just because it's a bit quicker for me. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue onto those little panels there. And that one's going to make sure this is still down the bottom so you know exactly where you're going to put your flower on there. So I'm just going to make sure I can cover up everything that on those white panels. Okay, so now our flower can move up and down there. Great. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do, if you wanted to do this again, when you're positioning your flowers on there, just make sure that nothing's going to catch as you go up and down. So you want these ones to be flat. Okay, so if you've got foam tape or it's a little bit sticking up on an edge, it is going to catch when it goes up and down. So make sure they're nice and flat down there. So I'm going to bring mine all the way up again. So I'm going to pull it all the way up like that. And now I'm just going to grab this flower here and I'm going to put the leaf so it's pointing down there. So my leaf is going to go there in this bottom left hand corner. So don't cover up any of this slit that you've cut out here, because otherwise we won't be able to get the mechanism up and down. So if you want to go ahead and put a bit of tape or glue on your flower, we're going to just pop that down now. So just down in that corner. So make sure you get all these little pieces glued down as well, because we don't want that to catch on anything. Okay, so now the next one we're going to do is this one here. So I'm just going to put this one, while it's still a bit non-glued there, I'm just going to put it a little bit under there. So again, just make sure that it's not catching on this slit there. So we need to make it so that this can still go up and down. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of this one again. There you go. And that one's just going to tuck under that flower there. Just get rid of that glue on the back so it doesn't stick on anything. There we go. Great. Hope everyone's doing alright. Just please let me know if you need me to go back over anything, or if you want me to go through something again, or I'm going too fast. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to rush. Okay, so hopefully now this is going to slide up and down easily. So mine's catching a little bit on there. So I'm just going to put a bit more glue on that piece. Make sure that's really stuck down so that nothing catches. Okay, so hopefully now that won't catch on anything, so I'm just going to check it. catching a little bit up here. So see how it was catching under my leaf there? I'm just going to make sure there's a bit more glue under that leaf. Okay, let's try that one again. That's better. No, it's still catching a little bit. No, it's catching on this one now. Put more glue under that one there. Okay, let's try it one more time. It's better. So nothing's catching now, so just give it a try up and down to make sure nothing catches on there. If it does, just glue it down a bit harder there. Great! Alright, so now this piece is going to go on. Now this piece I want to move with my flower. So I'm actually going to stick it to the back of the flower so that when the flower moves, that goes up and down as well. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the very bottom leaves here. Okay. I'm just going to move it up and down again to make sure that everything's still moving okay and that my leaf isn't going to catch. If you've got your leaf too far over, that leaf might catch underneath there. So just make sure it's all moving again. Okay. That's good. Right, so we just need to do our little butterflies now. So I've put a little butterfly on top of my leaf here. So I've just bent it up on both sides of the little body. So we've got a little gap there so we can put some glue on. So I'm just going to pop him on there. So he's going to move with the flower too. And then I'm just going to put one little one up in the top corner here. There we go. Great. So hopefully yours is moving okay. If it's not, just check what it's catching on and then you can just glue it down a bit more there. Now in your kit you will have this here. This is the one that's going to go right underneath here. So I'm going to cut this really little. So I'm going to cut right up against the very ends here and right up against the very bottom of that word. So I want it to be quite small. So I'm just going to grab my trimmer and do that now. Okay. So as you can see, it's pretty small, cut pretty small, but we need it to be quite small so that it goes underneath the flower and doesn't get seen. So I've pulled my flower right up to the top. I'll just wait a few moments while everybody catches up. Just cutting the fluff off my word as my trimmer board is. My blades are really bad at the moment. Okay, so I'm just going to put a bit of tape or glue along there, so pop some tape or glue on, whichever you prefer. And I'm going to put that right up against my flower and right up against this very bottom mark here, so right up against that bottom. So that when this comes down now, that hopefully should cover it all up. It's sticking on something, there we go. Alright, so then when you pull it up you can see it, when you pull it down it's hidden. There we go. Okay, so that piece is just stuck on there. I just used a bit of glue because it's a bit quicker this time, but go ahead and use some tape if you prefer. Okay. So that piece there is done. So I'm just going to now pop my butterfly onto this moving flower. Now what I've done, because I wanted my butterfly to stand up a little bit, but I didn't want it to cause too much trouble when I'm sending it, what I've done is I've put 2 layers of foam tape on the back, but I've left the backing on there so that it doesn't stick. And what that is going to do is it's going to help it stay up, but it will flatten down when you put it into an envelope. And when it comes out of the envelope, it'll pop back up again. Okay, so that's what I've done there. Now it's really important that you do not take this backing piece off. We don't want it to stick down. We want it to be able to bounce back up again. So when it's in the envelope, it's going to flatten down fine. When you pull it out, it'll bounce up. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of foam tape on the back here. So sort of in the middle of the wings a little bit. So I'm going to put 2 layers on there. So I'm going to peel that backing off so that this one sticks onto that one. So I'm going to leave that backing on there now. So that backing stays on there. We've got 2 layers. So now I'm just going to bend his body a little bit, and I want to glue this part onto the card. Okay, so what we've done is I've just bent his body back a little bit there. It sounds awful, I know. We're just going to bend him there, put a bit of glue on there. And then that's the only thing that's going to hold him onto my flower. So I'm just going to pop him onto there, so that now my butterfly's got his bouncy wings. And he now moves up and down with the card. Okay. So it's a good way if you want something to be flat in an envelope, but then you want it to bounce up again when it's out. This is a really good way of doing that because it gives you that depth and deception, that depth there, so that when you bring it out of the envelope, it's just going to bounce up. Okay. Right. So the last thing we need to do, the last 2 things we need to do on here before we put it onto our card base, is to just cut out this little half circle. Now I've used a half circle punch, and I've just come down, I've popped it in and I've just come down halfway. But before you do that, I want you to make sure that this piece, this pull here, is right where you want it to be. So it's not off to the side like that. We want to bring it right into the center. And I'm just going to grab a pencil, and I'm just going to make a little mark on both sides of that pull here. Okay, see that? And then I'm just going to use my punch here, and I'm just going to line it up so that those 2 lines I've done, I can just see past my punch here. So if you can see, so you can see them there between the punch. So I'm just going to line it up now so you can't see those 2, but it's going to give me a nice edge in there. Now if you don't have a 1/2 inch punch, what I'm going to show you to do is just draw a 1/2 inch circle. So I'm just going to punch one out for now. So just draw a little circle, just trace around it that something is about 1/2 inch. I'm just going to make sure that's 1/2 inch. Yep, 1/2 inch circle. Now I want to cut that in half, so I'm just going to cut it in half. And then this piece here, I'm just going to put onto there, and I'm going to trace around it. So that way you can still do your punch there, but you don't have to have a 1/2 inch punch. So I'm just going to trace around it like that. And now I'm just going to use my scissors to cut that out. So if you don't have a 1/2 inch circle punch, don't worry, you can still do it. You just need to make a 1/2 inch circle cut out, cut it in half, and then just trace it onto your card. Just going to straighten that up a little bit. Here we go. So now we've got that place there that we can pull this up and down. Alright, how's everyone doing? Right, so the last thing I want to do now is, if you have a sentiment stamp at home, I've just used a Versamark Onyx Black to do my stamping with. I find Versamark much nicer to stamp with because it's just such a fine ink. And I'm using a happy birthday stamp, so you could just stamp any sort of sentiment across there now. Now when you're stamping, don't rock your stamp backwards and forwards. Don't move it from there. So it goes straight down, give it a push down, and then straight back up. If you rock it, you're going to end up with double images there. Okay, there we go. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put tape around the back of our card front there. Now, but you're not going to put tape across this top here because we want this to be able to move up and down. So what I'm going to do is just put tape right up to that point there and all around, and then right up to that point. So just normal double-sided tape. So just up to that half circle that you've cut out there to the very edge. And then come all the way down here. and all the way along the bottom. And just along the top, the side there again. And then just up to that half circle again there. So what that's going to do now is when we pop that down, it's going to help this piece to stay in alignment with that sliding up and down. So just peel the backing off that, and then you can pop it straight onto your white card. Okay, so that's just going to go straight onto our card base now. So make sure your pull here is nicely lined up. And just make it so there's that little white border around the outside there. There we go. Great. So now hopefully you've got a little card that you can pull your mechanism up and down and it slides nice and freely. So we're going to hide this message down here, pull it up, and then we can see the message there. So that's the card for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm just going to quickly show you what we're doing in the next 2 weeks so that you know what we're going to be coming up with. So that was this week's card. So next week's card is this one. So this is next week's card. So this one opens up that way. So it's called a double Dutch card. So it opens up that way. And these two little flaps fold out, and then you've got a little tag here to pop in and out so you can do your writing on there. So that's what we'll be doing next week. And the week after that, we have this one here. Sorry, I just need to try a bow before I show everyone. Hang on. I asked Mike to do it, but he's all fingers, so come on, Mike. Alright, so this is our card for next week. So this one's a little bit more unique. What it is we've got a opening and closing card here. So this card here, sorry my bits are falling off, is going to pull out of those little pieces there. So then it folds out like that, and then we've got a little tag in there that you can take in and out. But the other part of this card is this one here. So this piece here we're going to open up here, and inside is going to be a little pocket for a voucher. So it'd be great if you wanted to give someone a gift to be able to support some local businesses with a gift voucher. It's a perfect way of doing it, and then this just all slides back in there and keeps it nice and closed. So this one is for next week. That one is for the week after. If you buy both of the kits together, then you will actually end up saving on postage, and you will also get full colour instructions with those to carry on with me on the video. I hope you do have a go with me. They are lots of fun to do. I really enjoyed doing both of these, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm really grateful that you all came along and watched the video with me and do the card with me. If you want to log into the Craft Amenities page, then you can just search in your Facebook under Craft Amenities, and then you can just click on there and we can accept you into the group, and then you can see what everybody's doing and you can participate by putting your stuff up that you've done, because we really love seeing what you've done. Oh, well done, Karen. I'm glad you finished it. Don't forget to put it up on Craft Amenities so we can see how it turned out. Thanks so much, everybody, and I'm really grateful that you all came and watched. So have a great day. Bye.